we move to the next news video, and this is when we talk about the big news. But we're not going to talk about it just yet. We're not going to talk about it just yet, as we are instead going to talk about the expected return of AEW's Grand Slam event, which is live from the Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York City, and it is set for September 20th. September 20th will be the return of AEW Grand Slam, which AEW does normally pull out all the stops for Grand Slam whenever Grand Slam comes around. So I am looking forward to seeing what AEW plans or has planned for this year on September 20th. Speaking of AEW, though, we jump back over to our friend, the American Dragon, and a report from yesterday where we talked about Bryan Danielson's fractured forearm that he sustained in the match with Okada at Forbidden Door. We found out more information, and the more information is that Danielson sustained the injury 10 minutes before the match ended, finished the match with a broken forearm, or a fractured forearm, and apparently it turns out that the fracture was worse than first initially thought, and he may not be out 6 to 8 weeks, but maybe 10 to 12, or maybe even more than that, as a timetable for his return has not been announced yet. But we here wish nothing but the best to the American Dragon, and hope we see him back again soon. Because right now, the injury timetable could keep him out for not just Blood and Guts, but also from competing at All In. Because, I mean, I could be wrong, but I, for one, believe 8 weeks to be around when Forbidden Door is taking place. So I do believe that it is entirely possible that Bryan Danielson could be out of action until after Forbidden Door, which again would be unfortunate, but it's something that happens when it comes to professional wrestling. As we now move back to WWE and across the way, we move to the fact that this year marks 25 years since, or this month, I should say, marks 25 years since the Hell in a Cell match that made the Attitude Era the Attitude Era, the Hell in a Cell match that made Mick Foley the Hardcore Legend, that Hell in a Cell match from King of the Ring 1999 between The Undertaker and Mick Foley. We are celebrating 25 years of one of the most important matches in those two men's careers, and one of the greatest matches of the Attitude Era, as both Mick Foley and The Undertaker are sitting down on YouTube rewatching the match. So if you want some interesting content, go watch it on YouTube from Mick Foley and The Undertaker. Go watch it on YouTube from Mick Foley and The Undertaker, and I'm sure you will enjoy that content. The fact of the matter is, though, it is hard to believe that it has been 25 years since that match happened, but also that means that next month, my earliest childhood memory is watching professional wrestling, and watching specifically Road Wild 1998, which means that if you hit it on all the coins, which means that August 1998, next month, in 2 months, I will officially be considered a wrestling fan, or be able to call myself a wrestling fan, for 25 years. Which is absolutely insane. And one of the other reasons why I can't believe it's been 25 years since Hulk Hogan versus Mick Foley in the Hell in a Cell. I mean, The Undertaker. I don't know why I said Hulk Hogan. But now we move to some interesting the bigger content. And the bigger content has to do with the fact that a rumor for SummerSlam has been announced. And the rumor for SummerSlam is Randy Orton versus Matt Riddle at SummerSlam in the match that we wanted to see last year or expected to see at WrestleMania this year between Randy and Riddle, with that tag team finally coming apart and things finally hitting a breaking point between Riddle and Randy. Between Riddle and Randy, the only question is, I want to be able to tell you who would be the heel, because Randy Orton, everybody knows, everybody may not know how close to retirement Randy Orton got. Everybody may not know how close to retirement Randy Orton got. But everybody knows that Randy Orton's been gone for a long time. So to say that Randy could leave and come back, that Randy could be out and come back as a babyface, as a heel, I think that's a little far-fetched. So I think they may end up having to turn Riddle if they want to do Riddle versus Randy. But that's just my opinion. Again, it is a rumor, but I could see it happening because WWE wanted to do it if Randy didn't get hurt. But once Randy got injured and Riddle had his issues, the match was completely off, and something that I'm sure a lot of people were happy. A lot of people were disappointed that it didn't happen, but maybe there are some people that are happy that it could now. Either way, we move to the big news about the Money in the Bank pay-per-view this weekend, as a creative split for the finish of the Usos versus Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns is said to be, I guess, the biggest talk of the town backstage, according to WrestleVotes, as the Usos and Solo worked with, I'm guessing, WWE creative or maybe the agents on a run-through this past Friday, or are doing it this Friday. I don't know what to say, but what I will say is there's a lot of possibilities for the match, and I think the right decision, I don't know if the right decision would be to have the Usos win, because Solo and Roman just lost a tag team match to Sami and Kevin. But I think that it would be the right decision to have the Usos win, because they're the tag team. And also, if they lose, you're kind of killing their momentum after just leaving Roman and Solo. So I think the Usos need him more than Roman and Solo, but we'll talk about that on Saturday when we get closer to Money in the Bank. But speaking of Money in the Bank, WWE is planning a big upset for the pay-per-view to get attention and get people talking. And according to reports, it is not the men's Money in the Bank match, and it is not Cody versus Dominic Mysterio, as there were people that actually thought that Dominic could beat Cody in the match on Saturday. But there are people that are considering it that maybe it could be Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. Maybe it could be the Usos versus Roman and Solo. Maybe it could be the women's Money in the Bank match. But the question isn't which match. The question is if it's just one upset or multiple upsets. Let me know down in the comment section below what you're most looking forward to this Saturday night. And if it's Randy Orton's return, who knows, it could happen. Because as they say, an RKO can come from out of nowhere. With that being said, though, that is it for me, and I will see you in the next one.